Hi, I'm Jim. I'm a narcissist. I have narcissistic personality disorder. Making these videos for anybody that's looking to gain any information into this disorder. Of course, I've been officially diagnosed by a licensed professional, so I am not coming on here as like a counselor, psychologist, or a psychiatrist, giving you my information or my research. I am basically telling you that I was diagnosed with this disorder, and these are my experiences with this disorder. So kind of take that for whatever, what you will. So if you think you may have this disorder, maybe this will give you a little bit, little information. Maybe you've been diagnosed and you're just looking to identify with somebody. I got to be honest. When I was first diagnosed with this disorder, I went searching, and I still do, right? For any type of feeling that I'm not the only one that's like this. And I mean, here's the thing: I can find people with narcissistic personality disorder, but I have not found one other person like me. And the problem is, like, this disorder always makes us feel that we're unique. There's nobody else like us. But I'm not joking. So we have to acknowledge that 1.2% of the population has narcissistic personality disorder. On top of that, I have there's different forms. The one that I have comes from survivor's guilt, right, which is completely different than the other ones. So now we're taking that 1.2% and we're making it even smaller. From there, a very small percentage of people that have narcissistic personality disorder ever acknowledge that they have the disorder. So now we're making we're making that 1.2% even again. We're going back and we're making it even smaller. And if they do acknowledge, it's even more rare that they try to get on a journey of emotional and psychological wellness and betterment, right? So when we add this all up, I haven't been able to find, anybody else that I feel I identify with. We can also add in, if there's 10 symptoms, of course, you're not going to have all of them. So maybe you're looking to identify with somebody. I know I have been, and I haven't been able to do so, right? So if I can do that for somebody else, I feel that I'm almost obligated, right? Maybe you have somebody in your life, professionally, personally, maybe in your family, who knows, that you think has this disorder, and you're looking to gain a little bit more information. Maybe you're a victim. If you're a victim, I'm sorry. This disorder does a lot of damage. I've done a lot of damage to a lot of people. I've emotionally abused a lot of people in my life. I'd like to apologize to every one of them. For anybody that's watching this video that is a victim, and they never got their apology, and they probably never will, on behalf of that narcissist with narcissistic personality disorder, I'm sorry. You didn't deserve to be treated like that. They should acknowledge the damage they've done, and they owe you an apology. And I feel bad that they're not going to give it to you. So on their behalf, I'm sorry for all the pain they've ever caused you. So I have other videos. One of the symptoms of this disorder is glory hounding, right? So I try not to beg you to subscribe. I do my best not to look at how many views I get, things like that. But there are other videos, you're more than welcome to watch them if at any point you think they'll be helpful. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. If at any point you feel that that you'd like to engage one-on-one, don't hesitate to hit me in a comment. I'll shoot you my number, my email, whatever, if you want to. So I've kind of hit on this topic, and I told you, I'm not a licensed anything, so I avoid some of the terms. I've never actually told you the type of narcissistic personality disorder I have, because they have names for them. Because then it just kind of like seems like I'm here like an instructor, and that's not what I am or what I do, right? I'm a firsthand, narcissistic personality disorder. Giving you my take on what I've seen in my years of life. Having had this disorder, and now as someone that's diagnosed and on a psychological wellness journey. But this topic's a big one, and I've kind of touched on it without using the name of it. So of all the videos I've done, I've never said this word before, but this is a big one. And this one, man, it's an important one. It's really important, right? So today I'm going to talk about gaslighting. And before I do, I want to talk about whether the narcissist knows what they're doing or not, right? So, the answer is maybe yes, maybe no. Only the narcissist knows, right? I can tell you 110% that before I became aware I had this disorder, that I did not know the things I was doing, right? But I brought that when I started my wellness journey, right? And I started really like gaining information and knowledge into this disorder, the symptoms, what it looks like, what are some of the characteristics, what are certain situations. Man, I started realizing I was doing it. I was doing that, right? And my disorder was telling me I was doing it for the right reasons. So just as bad as I was manipulating others, my disorder was manipulating me, right? It was the puppet master. It was running the show, right? It was like Wizard of Oz behind the curtain, working the controls. That doesn't make me a victim, right? Part of the disorder is one of the symptoms is we always want to make ourselves a victim, but it is important that you need to acknowledge if you're a narcissist, if you're aware or if you're not aware, right? This is key. So I can look back and I wasn't aware. I believed all the lies, right? So while I was using manipulation, right, I believed I was doing it for other reasons, not other than manipulation, right? I thought the intentions were good. And if at any point you think I'm saying that to make myself feel better, I'm not. Because when I reached out to one of my victims and I brought that up to them, right? I was trying to process some things with them, and I brought that up, that hey, I really feel some of these things that I truly didn't think I was doing them for the wrong reasons, but now I'm understanding it's manipulation. And what she responded was shattering, and it's 110% true. That's even worse, right? So here's the thing. If you know what you're doing and you're consciously doing it, right? It's obvious you don't have empathy, you really don't care. And that's kind of easy to see, right? But if you're manipulating and you're not aware that you're manipulating, you're lying a whole lot better, right? So kind of like the old adage, the best salesman is someone that loves their product. You take two people, they're selling electric cars, and one, really truly believes that electric cars are terrible and god awful. And then you take the person that, really, believes he's going to save the world. I mean, you're going to get two completely different selling styles. But what if that person that was selling the electric cars didn't know that the cars were actually worse for the environment? And that's what happens when you don't understand you're manipulating. It's even worse. But if we become aware that we have this disorder, right, and we make the commitment that we want our future to be better than the past, that we want to start a wellness, an emotional, a psychological wellness journey towards betterment. We get a therapist. We work with our therapist. We do our own research on top of that, right? We use the research we find, we bring it to the therapist, right? But the moral of this story is there's only two types when of course, it comes to this. They're either aware or they're being manipulated too. And if they're being manipulated too, it's even worse, right? Because it's going to be a lot harder to identify. If you're looking from the outside in, because they believe it. I believed it. I tell you what, my mind was telling me crazy stuff, and I'm looking back and I believed every little bit that thing was telling me. So I have to acknowledge that I was in that category. So gaslighting, that's the topic, and it's It's a big one. So the term actually comes from an Alfred Hitchcock movie, which I actually have never seen. So what is gaslighting? Gaslighting is kind of done in a couple of different forms. Remember when we kind of talked about how a narcissist, if you didn't watch the video, I did a video on financial abuse, right? And how a narcissist and someone with narcissistic personality disorder may try to abuse and control you financially. Well, gaslighting is the same form of manipulation, right? So for my type of narcissistic personality disorder and narcissism, I believe, mine comes from survivor's guilt. So I have extreme resentment and hatred for myself, right? When I was young, my brother and I were walking back from baseball practice and he was hit by a car. I was not. So I believe that he blames me for the accident. I also have survivor's guilt, believing that everyone that knew and loved him blames me for the accident, believes that I should have been able to stop it, right? Now, this doesn't have to be based in reality to have created my survivor's guilt, which created my disorder, right? Doesn't have to be rational in any way, shape, or form, right? It did what it did. It created this disorder, and it controlled my life for so many years. But with that being said, when we look at gaslighting, my inner core thinks I'm god-awful and terrible, and nobody would ever love me. I mean, if I think so low of myself, how could anybody else think good of me, right? So I constantly believe people are going to leave me. And how do we make people not leave, right? We try to do everything we can to make them feel like they have to stay, right? So one of the things we might do is like passive-aggressive comments, making them feel really insecure about their appearance. So they start to believe that if they go out there, nobody else is going to like them or love them. What we use very aggressively also is lying. And when we lie, we do so to manipulate, right? You may look really good, but we make a comment. Here's an example. You're a girl and you're wearing a dress, knockout. I mean, we're talking, you're rocking a 10. Girl, you're gonna get hit on by every guy today. I mean, at this point, they're gonna walk up to you at the McDonald's, right? While you're in line in front of everybody and hit on you. That's how good you looking in this dress, right? So we make a passive-aggressive, underhand comment, maybe about, you look like a whore with your tits hanging out like that. So we're already hitting at your insecurities because our mind, and we're lying, right? We're doing that because we don't want you to go out and look to the way where somebody's going to hit on you and maybe you're going to leave us. It's our insecurity. It's not your fault. You look amazing. Girl, you look phenomenal, right? It's not your insecurities, it's ours. But we're trying to make you insecure. And we do it in so many different ways, right? So we'll make comments where you feel discredited. We're in an argument and we're debating stuff, and I tell you I got a yada yada degree and you don't, right? Doesn't even matter if the degree pertains to that. Maybe we're arguing philosophy, and I bring up that I have a degree in accounting. You know what I mean? I'm doing that to discredit you. I'm doing that to make you feel little. I'm doing that so you don't feel as intelligent as I do, and you don't feel credited to argue or debate this with me, right? And then, so I'm discrediting you. I'm taking away your value. One of the things I was bad at, oh my God, minimalizing, right? So at that point, we get into an argument, and I automatically start talking about things like, you gotta calm down, you are so overreacting. Now, it sounds simple, and it sounds small. It doesn't sound like a big deal. you're overreacting. Well, in actuality, you are having the exact right amount of response that you're supposed to have. But I'm discrediting and I'm minimalizing you. And I'm doing more. I'm getting you thinking how sane you are. So what I'm convincing you unconsciously is that you're a little crazy, because you're like, man, why is he telling me not to yell and scream? I mean, I'm barely raising my voice at all. I mean, why is he telling me I'm overreacting? You start to hear this enough and you're like, wow, I overreact so much, right? I yell and scream. I mean, I name call. I do all this stuff, right? And I'm getting you to question your sanity. And I do that in a couple of ways also. Like, maybe you bring something up and I'm like, what are you talking about? That's insane. How could you ever think that? So I make those kind of comments and they're hitting you, right? It goes back to you're questioning your own thoughts. You're questioning your own sanity. And whether we're doing it consciously or unconsciously, it's having the same effect. It's abuse. We're abusing you. Another thing, and this is another one I was big on, is blame shifting, right? Oh my dear Lord. I play the victim. You think I can't shift blame? For the love of God. I mean, you come at me with, Jim, why didn't you do the dishes? And next thing you know, I'm like, that was the day I tied my shoes too tight. I mean, my blame shifting doesn't even have to make sense, right? But you better believe I'm not taking responsibility. I'm not taking accountability. And I'm doing two things. First, I'm basically telling you should have never brought this to my attention. That you're not seeing, how much of a victim I am, right? And second, I'm getting us on a completely different topic, and I'm probably doing it because you're right, and I'm diverting it into another direction, and we'll never address, what the focus was, right? And I use all this as manipulation. I used all this to put people that I loved and I cared about in a situation that they felt inferior, that they felt like they couldn't leave, that they felt like I was their only option. I can't take back that damage I've done. I can't take that back. You can't take that back. You have this disorder. You've hurt people the way I have. You can't take that back. We can make amends. We can apologize. What else can we do? We can work on learning how to forgive ourselves. That's so big. That's so big. You want to see real growth, find a way to forgive yourself. We can't change the past. It's about making the future better than the past, right? So we learn from it. We learn our triggers. What were our go-tos? What were the things that we did really, a lot, right? How do we not do them in the next relationship? And hey, if you're a narcissist, you have narcissistic personality disorder, and you're in a relationship, you better do better. You owe it to that person. And if you're a narcissist and you have narcissistic personality disorder and you're not in a relationship, you're going to be. And that person deserves to not be abused. So in the future, you got to do better. And if you are a narcissist with narcissistic personality disorder, and that person knows you have this disorder, man, they're taking the biggest chance in the world by staying with you. Don't F that up. Don't F that up. Now, if you're the victim, any video that I have ever brought this up, get out of the relationship immediately, cease all communication, cut them off 110%. Don't allow them to talk to you. Don't allow them to send you letters. Burn that letter. If something comes in the mail, don't let them send you emails. Block them, block them, block them, block them, block them. 110%. Get out of the relationship and cease all communication, and do not allow them in. They will try to find any crack they can. They will go through friends and family. They will do whatever they can to try to hoover you back in. the reason that is what you're told, and it's not just by me, it's because the chances someone with disorder changes, it's just too small. It's not worth jeopardizing your psychological well-being. The abuse is real, and the chances that they're going to abuse you again are way too high. Don't put yourself in that situation. Get out of that situation. Sever all ties with that relationship. Cease all communication. If you're in a situation where that can't happen, maybe it's like a family member, right? At that point, you gotta set realistic boundaries for yourself. We can't control what other people do. I apologize. I'm not familiar with that situation. I'm the person, but if I were the one doing that and I wasn't on a wellness journey, what I would say is you need to plan that if you're going to see me at like a holiday dinner, what your boundaries are. And sometimes, I mean, you gotta turn and walk away, right? You know, when you start seeing me do the things that I do and act the way that I do, you gotta turn and walk away, right? Because, you know, I'm gonna do what I do. And, you know, it's intense stuff. It's really intense stuff. You know, if you're a victim, there's support groups out there for you, right? You know, don't take the word of a narcissist. You know, go to a support group, see what they say to you. So gaslighting is a big one. Because it's, oh man, you know, I bring analogies. And this one just popped in my head. I love this one. This is like stealing in Superman 3, right? Okay, this is the subtle. So in Superman 3, Richard Pryor, man, love that dude. So he plays a tech guy, works for some company. So of course you could go and you work for this company and say, hey, I'm gonna steal $1 million from you today. And today they're gonna be like, oh my God, we're missing $1 million. They're gonna find you and you go to jail. So what he did in Superman 3 was he said, hey, every transaction has less than a penny. So it has, you know, if it's $1 transaction, if it's $1.03, it'd be 1.0309, right? But there's so many transactions with these like not, you know, less than a penny, that what he did was he took all that like extra, like less than a penny, and it added up over time. That's what we do, gaslighting. Man, that's a good analogy. That's Superman 3 analogy, fire right there, right? See, I'm glory hounding now. And I'm sorry, you know, making light of my disorder, but we gotta keep things lighthearted every once in a while. I cry enough on these videos. Gotta laugh every once in a while. But that's how we gaslight, right? They're so small. There's this fraction of a penny that you don't even realize. Okay, here's another one. So I can come over here and go like this, and it doesn't seem like it does any damage, right? I can do this over and over again, slowly getting a little bit harder until I literally rip the skin off of my, you know, the skin off my body, and I'm bleeding, and I can run through the meat until I eventually get to the bone. You give me enough time. Why? Because it's so small, in such small increments, you don't realize it. That's what we're doing with gaslighting, right? That's exactly what we're doing. There's these small little hits over and over and over and over again, you know, and eventually what they're doing is they're abusing your mind. They're making you feel like you're crazy. They're making you feel like you can't go out there and find somebody else. They're making you feel that that I'm the only person you can be with, you know? And whether they're intentional or not, that's what they do. And they work. And they cause emotional abuse. And it's not okay to abuse anybody. It's not. So that's why we're going to change. That's why we're going to do better, right? So for those of you that have this disorder, or think you do, think about that future. You know, think about it. Think about a future where you feel proud in how you treat your significant other. Right? Think about a future where you know the potential damage that you could do and you choose not to. Man, right? Future better than the past. You know, it shouldn't take long to think of a million different examples of ways that we've done this to people in our lives. We don't want to do that anymore. We want to be better. We want to be better for other people, and we want to be better for ourselves. We want to be better for ourselves because we deserve to have that better future. Right? 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 It's a really, really intense subject. And I'll go moral on you. If you have to manipulate somebody to be in a relationship with you, you don't deserve to have them in a relationship with you. If there's ever a situation where someone feels that they can't leave because you're the only option, they shouldn't be in a relationship with you. Anybody that's in a relationship every second of every day should feel like they have the right and the ability to leave. And if you can't get somebody into a healthy relationship without manipulating them, then you shouldn't be in a relationship. Let me say that differently. Unless I have the ability to not use manipulation and have a healthy relationship, I should not be in a relationship. And this is one of the things, this is hard for me right now. I'm single. You know, narcissist that's single. And that's one of my challenges. I mean, I don't plan on being single the rest of my life. You know, at some point I have to start dating again. I don't ever want to be in another relationship where I manipulate somebody. I just don't. I don't. I want to feel that if they chose to leave, they'd be comfortable leaving. That's their right. That's their choice. I don't want to take that away from somebody. Not to be selfish, to make them stay with me. That's not what I want for them. That's not what I want for me. I want to feel good about myself. Right? So when that time comes, this is going to be a big old challenge for me. I'm so scared. So scared. So scared. It's scary. For me. Because we have to know that there's a chance they're going to leave. And we got to be willing to accept that. You know, when you have survivor's guilt like I do, when your MPD comes from that place of self-loathing, self-hatred, you know, we want to convince ourselves that we're not good enough for anybody's love. But you know, as we grow and we develop, we gotta be able to change that, right? We gotta get to the point where we believe we are worthy of love from someone else, and if we invite them in, and they decide that we're not what's for their future, we gotta let them go. You know. But yeah, I'm not ready for that yet. I got a lot of working on myself to do. Got a lot of working with my therapist to do. I'm getting there. Not like today or tomorrow. I mean, you know, I'm seeing the progress. I'm seeing, you know, it's good progress. I got too many other things that need focused on before I'll be able to bring that into my life. Hope this was helpful.